Welcome back. I'm Jason Linett. I'm a board-certified hypnotist, I'm an instructor, and I'm the director here at Virginia Hypnosis. And you're joining me here today for video number 6 of the National Guild of Hypnotists NGH Hypnotism Success Series. This is a series that we've been producing together all about your success. How to take the skills, the techniques you already know, and bring in some new ones, and then put it all together to really make your business grow even stronger in the coming years. It's all about building that big idea in the hypnotism profession. Normal everyday people overcoming normal everyday challenges using this wonderful modality that we know as consulting hypnotism. And in this video this month, I want to share with you specifically a strategy that, well, I know for a fact, without this one strategy, my business would be nowhere near where it is right now. In fact, without this one single strategy, you and I would not be here right now having this virtual conversation. Let's date things back a little bit. There's an idea I had about a year ago to put out at least a 20-hour project called the Hypnosis Business Bootcamp. And that's something that's launching sometime July 2014. And the story dates back, though, I was doing a bit of a preview of this information locally. And all of a sudden, here's a video that I shared with a friend, and without permission, he shared it to President of the NGH, Dr. Dwight Damon. Well, let's date the story really back. There I am. It's Veterans Day, so it's a holiday. I'm home, and the phone rings, and it's Dr. Damon. Jason, I found a video of yours. We need to talk. And to be fair, I thought that I was being called into the principal's office. And the result of that phone call, though, is this series that you've been participating within so far. So specifically, what's the arc here? I was shooting videos to promote my business. I was then shooting videos to promote an upcoming class, a product that I'm about to release, and as well as getting the invite to produce this video series for you, the membership of the National Guild of Hypnotists. And the results so far, thousands of views per video. The feedback has been astonishing. I love to hear of all of you out there who have been taking this information and really putting it into use. You know, anything we can put out there, the only value it can ever have is what you do with it. So yes, it's fun to set up the office and shoot a couple of videos and promote the information. Yet what I'm really looking to hear is your specific feedback about what you've done with this information. So along that note, to the upcoming teleseminar, we're going to put the date right here on the screen. Very easy to find where that information is going to be. We're going to do a 1-hour live teleseminar follow-up specifically on this content. The website to find that information, budurl.com/hypnotismsuccess06. That's going to be our live interactive teleseminar following this information. So this month's program is all about online videos for fun and profit. How do we begin to communicate with our clients in a brand new way? Consider this, your potential client who's doing some research on the internet. People, you know, we can talk about propulsion systems. They're either looking to move towards pleasure or they're looking to move away from pain. So let's look at the criteria of the client coming in to quit smoking. They either want to move away from the cigarettes or they want to move towards their health. Both of these systems are at play at once. Yet, which is the more dominant one is some very helpful information to figure out in terms of how you interact with that client. But let's bring that decision point to how we'd actually interact with that client. They're either looking to select the most obvious choice that can help them in overcoming that challenge, or they're looking to deselect all those people that aren't a fit to work with them. You know, so far in this video series, I've shared a lot of information about outsourcing. And with some projects that I'm launching in the next couple of weeks, you know, I've been spending a lot of time on Odesk.com. It's a fabulous outsourcing website. And just to share some updates in terms of Odesk, you know, it's a peer-reviewed site. So specifically there, I've found unless somebody has a rating of about 4.6, 4.7 or up, that's out of 5 stars, unless they have at least 1,000 hours of experience, and the real learning curve in the last couple of months, unless their actual work resume reflects the style of work that I'm looking for, I'm not even going to bother interacting with that person. Specifically, I'm doing some migration of information right now. This is going to get way too technical than we need to get, but I'm in the middle of a massive migration project. And here was this person with a 5-star rating. And she had 1,800 hours of past experience. Yet what I should have looked into in reading her feedback was all 1,800 hours of that was actually working for one of these coupon sites. Retail Me Not, these websites that you can actually, what was it? I was going online to buy, our vacuum cleaner at home died, and with a house with 2 kids and a dog, those Dyson vacuums, you get what you pay for. It turns out they're fabulous. But after 5 years, one of them finally died, so it's time to replace it. And I'm on their site looking for a coupon. So just to Google the term Dyson coupon code, and all of a sudden retailmenot.com pops up. Well, this person specifically had done those 1,800 hours working for one of those sites. So very quickly learning that not all reviews are created equal. So make sure they've got specific experience of what you're working on. But back to the core content here, online videos for fun and profit. We're a profession, which you've heard me say this before. Too many hypnotists don't even have a photograph of themselves on their website. And let's be honest here. What is the public perception of hypnotism at our current stage? Well, again, back to video number 1, Rethinking Hypnosis. We're doing a lot better than we think we are. Yet still, I'm going to go into a stranger's office and go through a process I've never actually done before. The more we can do in advance to make this just the most normal, natural experience they can experience, the better we're going to be. So here's your potential client doing a search online, and here's a website that's wonderfully designed, yet they don't even see a photograph of the person they're going to potentially work with. They want to build rapport with that person remotely. And having a photograph is perfect for that. Doesn't have to be expensive. The smartphones, the tablet devices, the cameras, the laptops we can purchase these days, the video cameras, actually can shoot a higher quality than most of what we used to have at least even 5-6 years ago. So you can knock something out really quickly that's going to be passable. And I'd rather have you have that, something that's decent, rather than nothing. That's going to be an ongoing theme in this video this month. So in a profession where many hypnotists don't even have a photo of themselves on their websites, my discovery has been that you can really expedite, you can really excel in your business by building rapport directly through the computer screen, the smartphone, the tablet device, directly with your potential client. And hear the presupposition here, if they have the opportunity to meet you before they even come into your office, in my experience, that is gigantic. That is huge. So have your clients meet you before they even come into your office, before they even call you, is this wonderful theme. And online videos are this wonderful no cost, as you'll see today using some tools you probably already own, to very low cost. I would almost guarantee low cost here. Let's say maybe like $40. And looking at the table of stuff here I put in front of me, using stuff you already own, like 40, 50 bucks would be enough. Seriously, just enough to get you up and going. Then, of course, you're going to see some insane gadgets that I've got here in this room. I'm in the business of, I've classified a whole other category of what I do as that business-to-business part of working with other hypnotists, helping them to become more successful. And as we go into that, I kind of had to up the quality of a number of things, where typically, and we may do a bit of a video overlay from Hypnosis Business Bootcamp here, but in a recent video shoot, I had camera 1, camera 2, and even camera 3 running, lighting, sound, and everything going. For the sake of most of the stuff, and I'd say like 99% of the stuff on my website, you don't need that. I'd tell a quick story, and the gentleman who I'm referencing here, I hope as he possibly hears this, he hears me saying it all from a very, very positive perspective. There was a recent workshop I attended where it was all about how to record custom audios. And to be fair, this gentleman who I'm referencing for many years was doing professional sound for live music, which for that environment, it's an entirely different set of techniques and tools. You have the microphone with what's called an XLR input plugged into a mixer, which then if you're going into a computer, you need something called a preamp, which then connects it to the USB input, and it's this whole process of balancing everything out. Well, In our modern era, though, you could do all that and pay thousands of dollars for sound equipment, or you can go on Amazon and buy a $60 at best USB microphone, which is going to be phenomenal. This actual setup over here, just to reference it, this is a Blue Yeti microphone, this is a boom stand, this is a pop filter, and even with this little thing called a shock mount, which you really don't need, this whole setup here was less than about $200. But you've already heard me reference before on here, my Logitech headset microphone actually sometimes produces a better sound than that thing over there. So I'll say it simply. If you walk away from this video with the concept that you need to spend about $3,000 or $4,000, you're missing the point. Because again, minimum investment could be zero. Next up investment, maybe $30 or $40. You're going to hear me exactly reference what I mean by that. So I'm going to share with you today some of the strategies that I use, specifically the strategies I used in terms of getting started to get this up and running. You know, this stuff doesn't have to be expensive. This stuff doesn't have to be expensive. This stuff doesn't have to be expensive. Do you get the point? Okay, good. So what have videos done for me? When I have new clients coming in, I'll typically ask them, you know, why me? What was it about your research that drew you to me specifically? And some of them will reference, you know, specific things such as a website or a directory listing, which you've heard me talk about. Some people will point very specifically to some of the emails that I send them through automation. The majority, the overwhelming population of people are referencing the videos like the one you're watching right now. The fact that they can watch me interacting with them at home and get to meet me before they even call me. And I've actually found, for those of you that are CIs, those of you that are instructors, trainers, having the ability of, they're able to go on to the page onto my YouTube channel, and it's a wonderful mixture. This kind of goes against some of the niche specific marketing that I've referenced before. But I had a client just recently reference, there's an entire Esdale state demonstration and lecture that I have on my YouTube channel. And as an incoming client, you know, she didn't watch all 2 hours of it. If it's still up to date, we may be taking that down. But she didn't watch all 2 hours of it, but her perception was, I was able to watch you in a crowded room, in her words, and I say this again using her words, command the room as the instructor, and you were the obvious expert there. To credit our good friend Elsa Meldridge Jr. with that phrase, how to become the obvious expert. By the way, if you don't have his book, buy it. It's phenomenal. So they're the #1 source that my clients tend to reference when they choose me. They also, the benefit of it is it just expedites everything that I do. Remember these themes of automation that I've shared before. If they have watched my videos, those are things I don't have to say to them directly. Those are things they already have the understanding of, and I can just kind of indirectly reference. It's a little bit more bigger picture than the scope of this video that's just specifically about how to get out there and shoot content. But I can tell based on the familiarity that the two of us will have in that intake interview part of our session, that I'll know how much of the hypnosis pre-talk I really have to get into, which, to be fair, my pre-talk is short, it's brief, it's to the point, it's all positive. It talks about here's what's going to happen as opposed to here's what's not going to happen. And by doing that, that just makes the job so much easier on top of things. But again, based on how much I can wean that they've actually interacted with me ahead of time, that just speeds everything up for me. So there's a constant theme of my business of, if I'm ever going to be doing things to pull myself out of it, it only can ever be done with the intention of putting more customer interaction, more client customer support, putting in there as well. I said that horribly, I know. The more I pull myself out of my business, the better of the experience I want my client to have. Rather than, you know, I've referenced this before. Can you outsource your incoming phone calls to somebody? Yes, you absolutely can. But if you're going to do that, make sure they're qualified and they're educated about the process, rather than, well, I called someone in my local area and I heard a voice I could not understand. The connection was horrible. And I'm asking, well, how does it work? And all I'm hearing is 3 sessions and a price. You know, if you're going to do that, put a little bit more time and money into the training of that and have that be someone who can actually handle that call in a very, very professional way. So again, though, every time I've been about to outsource that part of my business, though, I automate something else with videos, and that incoming phone call just gets shorter and shorter and shorter. I'd share something else, too, for those of you who work with kids. We're a society where people are constantly playing this game. Hey, you got to watch this video. And we're pulling out the smartphone, the tablet device, and we're using that to interact with somebody. I work a lot with teenagers. And specifically, here comes the event where mom, dad calls me up, and they're doing some research first to find out more information about this. And it's that point in the conversation where they go, well, let me go talk to my son, let me go talk to my daughter. That could go two ways. That can go really well. And for me, very often, thankfully, it does. Where there's the teenager responding, oh, cool, yeah, that sounds interesting. Or the very opposite. Mom, I don't want to blank do that. Here's my strategy. I have on my YouTube channel a video of me doing the old suggestibility test of the finger magnets. And it's just all done in the spirit of, hey, let's do something kind of fun. And I do it directly to the camera, and I just guide the viewer through that experience. And what I do is I send that to the parent, and I tell them, you ever show a video on your phone to your son, your daughter? Yeah, okay, good. I'm going to send you a video of me doing something kind of fun, and have them interact with it. And as soon as they get the result of the fingers pulling together, then you follow it up with the statement of, oh, I've met this guy. He can help you out with your testing fears. He can help you out with your gymnastics. He can help you out with your fill in the blank. And there I am. I've already built rapport with that teenager. And now, since I've done that, I've never really had the experience, once mom or dad is on board, where it's the teenager, it's the kid, backing out of the process. I've built rapport directly thanks to a video. And these are some things that text on a website can't really accomplish. You know, those of you, I only have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old at home, but those of you with children, thinking of myself, you know, age range of 13 to 18, hey, here's this article, read it. Yeah, that ain't going to happen. Here's this video, it's 3 minutes long, watch it. And actually spend the moment there and actually do it with them. I'd share that's a strategy that's been huge for me, that's worked really, really well. The other statement too, and this is a statement that's been mirrored by people like Jerry Kine, Cal Banyan as well, that video does something wonderful about building prestige. Specifically with the two of them, you go into the office and the setup was you'd watch the pre-talk on a TV ahead of time. And then hypnotists would walk in the room and begin to interact with you. Yes, you can do that. But I would share I'd so much rather you do something like that at home. That's just my preference. But it obviously worked for the two of them. But let me give you a story here to kind of outline what this actually does. Ever since the age of 11, I wore glasses. Then I got tired of dealing with glasses, so then I wore contacts from age like 14 all the way up to 30. And just for the sake of specifically, if I can be direct about it, here's my son, here's my daughter crying middle of the night. You know, they're 1 and 3 years old. And the task of get up and stumble around and look for the glasses and just getting tired of it, I'd also set up a bit of an automated savings, and eventually there was the money. Long story short, laser eye surgery. And perfect 2015 vision now. They did an amazing job. So I go to this office, though. I'm shopping around. Insurance isn't going to cover it, so my strategy became very simple. Find the most qualified people. If I have to pay them, get the best you can. You know, when you see laser eye surgery on Groupon or Living Social, I just cringe. It's like, that's the one procedure I want them for sure getting every dollar that I give them. But anyway, I digress. So I'm at this office. I'd done some research, and all signs were pointing to this specific office. I go in, and they do a bit of a brief consult with me and a, I don't know the exact name, so the technician at a doctor's office for an eye doctor. And then all of a sudden, I'm brought into another room, And there's a big, maybe 50-inch flat screen TV on the wall. They asked me if I'd like something to drink. I said coffee. They asked me if I wanted a latte, and I just told them no, just black's fine. And they got me a drink. They hit a button on the TV, and this beautifully produced 8-minute video began to play. In the course of this 8-minute video, they're interviewing celebrities who this doctor has performed the procedure on. They're interviewing an astronaut that he's worked with. They're interviewing sports stars, which that completely bypasses me. And then there's the doctor on the screen talking directly to the camera about here's the safety behind the procedure, here are the accepted risks, but here's why they're so rare, and here's the newest advances in the technology, and here's why we're the only office in the Washington, D.C. metro area that has this technology. And I swear this guy was behind the door with the ear pressed up to it, because the moment the video came to an end, the music stopped, the video screen faded to black, door opens up, and he walks in and goes, "Hi, nice to meet you." And he's right there. And just on that fact alone, I'm sitting there going, oh, he gets it, he's good. Which, to be fair, all the research supported that, which is why, very happily, that's why I went with the procedure there. But again, that perfect timing, that could be the benefit of doing it in your office. However, I would rather use video to also be a part of the sales process, because that's been the #1 thing that has really advanced what I've done. Similar to my experience, I might have referenced this before in a previous video, and I'm pointing because I knew that he was sitting over there when I told it before. I had a student who called me up. In the course of our first phone call, he had done a lot of research. He had watched all my videos. And from that interaction, he just signed up for the class right away. Gave me a credit card number for the entire investment for the course. And he shows up for the first day of the class. He's a little early. And the two of us are standing here talking for a little while. And the experience was funny because he actually, about 5 minutes into that, went, "Whoa, I just realized I haven't actually met you in person yet." That was actually our first interaction in person. So again, the video served to bridge a gap. By him watching that video, he already had rapport with me, even though technically I didn't yet have it with him, if that makes sense. So this task of putting video together, so far, what are the bullet points I want you to take from this? It expedites the sales process, it builds rapport remotely, and also tends to build prestige. Yet, with this video, I've got to cover the simple statement of, why is it that most people out there aren't doing this? You know, I'm going to show you how easy it can be. But why are most people not making use of this? Well, the first one is perhaps the fear that it's going to be expensive. And to be blunt on that, yes, it really can be. It can be insanely expensive, but it doesn't have to be. So to be fair, $1,100, the camera over here with this microphone was about $2,400. These are really high quality tripods, 140 each. iPad, 800, iPhone, 600, laptop, 1,400, camera, 1,000. Yeah, this is a lot of money. But I'm going to show you stuff, a camera that I bought on Craigslist, a microphone that's 20 bucks brand new, and then maybe a $10 cable to make it convert, and a tripod from Target, which I think that one was $10. So yes, it can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. And again, I'm probably going to show you how to use things you already own to pull this off. The other fear is that it's going to be rather difficult, which, again, there's two sides of this. It very well can be. In a previous career, I got started by doing sound design. And the task of doing sound design, if you've made use of Audacity, or back in my day, Cool Edit Pro, which then was bought out, was Adobe Sound Booth, now it's Adobe Audition. You know, these are relatively similar things. It's all a visual medium of editing video. If you can edit a Word document, you can edit video, you can edit sound. It's all pretty much the same concepts. Some of the software does have a bit of a strict learning curve. But again, for a lot of videos, as you watch mine, you've seen me doing titles. How about that opening sequence for this series? To be fair, I went nuts. If you want to know, quick reference, if you want to know how I do my title sequences, it's actually the same service I use for a lot of royalty-free music. And I may put it up here on the screen. I think it's VideoHive.net. VideoHive, just search VideoHive. We'll just skip the title. VideoHive. That's where I buy the lower thirds that you've seen. That's where I've bought those title sequences that using a specific software, Adobe, I'm mixing this up now, Adobe Encore. No, that's not it. Either, it's part of the Adobe suite. After Effects, that's the one I'm using. It's a pre-made title sequence that I've just gone in and changed the text and then put the graphic in there. So if you want to see what that is, when you get to the end of the video, go back and watch the opening 45 seconds. I didn't design that. I just found someone who made a pre-made template and I changed the words. That's what that is. Which again, that can be a rather difficult process. I did that title sequence, to be fair, just to learn how to do it. I'd never done it before. Which it may be helpful to know that this entire video series with the Hypnotism Success series, I have self-produced. Specifically just because I wanted to gain a little bit more skill with some of the software. There's a lot of things that I outsource, but for the task of this 4-minute video I want to throw up on the website. I'm putting up a landing page to build a list for this specific project. That's the kind of stuff that I just wanted to do in-house. It would have taken me more time to send someone else to do that than it would be to just put it in, render and replace the video and just be done with it. So this has all been self-produced in-house by myself. But again, if you don't want to go through that learning curve, statement number 1, what's the edit of your video that you really need? A start and a stop. And that's it. You know, as you see some of my multi-camera stuff, as you see the title sequences, that's where it gets really insane. That's where it gets really difficult. But again, specifically for getting started, video starts, video ends, you're done. Keep it simple. But you can also outsource this stuff for cheap. I mentioned Odesk. I've also referenced before Craigslist. There was one time that I was doing a show out of town, and I wanted video of the show. And I'm actually about to do this again. I just got invited to teach a class for an event that's coming up in Vegas later this year. And for that, I'm going to hire a video crew to do some specific, quote, B-roll shooting of that class. So for that coming up, again, do I want to pack this stuff up and bring it with me on a plane? I could, but I'm going to go on Craigslist and do some research and just find someone to come in for like 4 hours one day and shoot it for me. And they'll probably do a better job than anything I've ever done before. I'm okay with that. So there can be a very harsh learning curve, or you can just give it to someone else. Very simple. I will quote a good friend, Mark Carlin, out of New York, who I actually heard recently say, if there's something you don't know how to do, just ask a teenager. And also, my statement is, if there's something you don't know how to do on a computer, look on YouTube. Someone has done it for you. Let's jump around in terms of my notes. Fear of it being time-consuming, which I'd share with you specifically with this video shoot. I'm going to get fancy in a moment because I pulled out my remote control, and I'm going to zoom the camera out in a few moments. And we're going to go to the table. I'm going to walk through some of the equipment that I use. I've never done that type of setup before. Normally, I'm a stationary camera guy with 1 or 2 cameras or maybe 3 cameras set up in the room for some product shoots. I'd rather switch cameras than play with moving cameras. So specifically today, it took me about 20 minutes to get the table in position, get the camera lined up, and play with the 2 positions of the zoom that I'm going to do. So today it was a little time consuming to set it up. But you know what? Now my cameras are all set up. So as soon as I shoot this video, I'm going to shoot maybe 5 or 6 more. So one of my favorite principles in terms of maximizing your time is batch processing. So specifically, I check my email at certain times a day. I go on Facebook for some of the business-to-business stuff that I've been doing specific times a day. And when I shoot videos, my rule has become I'm not going to set up that camera unless I'm shooting at least 5 or 6 videos. Because think of the time it takes to set all this stuff up. Now, to be fair, I've got a classroom here at my office. I've got a 1,200 square foot suite where we do the classes in here, but typically these days I've just been setting up a camera and just leaving it there. So with that type of setup now, as I'm in between a class right now, the next one starts in about 3 weeks, that's when I've played the game of just the cameras up at all times, where all of a sudden it's oh, I need a video for this, and I can just plug in the microphone, walk over, and set things up. It's that simple. So batch, process, batch, shoot. With video editing, I'd reference there's a thing with a lot of video editing software called rendering, which is where it'll take the video and then render that final file. So if you've done a lot of edits like with this series, I'll normally do some small amount of color correction. The camera that I'm using now is a 2-channel sound. There's a boom microphone, and there's specifically a lavalier wireless mic that I've plugged into it too. So it records left and right channel. Well, for my processing with this video, it's very simple. I just make the right channel both left and right, and I'm done. But when I do the business classes in here, when I'm shooting that, when I'm editing that video, I then have to go into my editing, and every time someone asks a question, bring up that other channel, then bring it back down. Which for those of you who speak at the NGH convention, that's why you need to rephrase questions. That's so much easier of a strategy than going in for every single question and pulling out the voice. I'm getting a little bit beyond the scope of this video, but again, render everything, batch everything. So I will process and edit all the videos, and then I'll actually hit the button for all the videos to render, because that takes a while. Even with 32 gigs of RAM on my desktop here, that takes a while. So that's a set it and forget it thing. I'll turn it on and I'll go home. And then overnight, the next day, I've got my videos. Fear of the camera. Okay, let's be simple on this one. There's many people, and I've seen this, I would never stand in front of the camera and talk to them. Well, the first statement would be, well, you know about hypnosis, right? If you have a fear, you can use hypnosis to, oh, yeah, you're on track here. Overcome your own stuff. If you have challenges with that, go to your local chapter meetings, go to the convention, find somebody to work with. You know, when I look at the camera, I know who I'm talking to. I'm talking specifically, it's the same way we'd build a business. Who's that ideal client? And right now, the person in that lens right there that I'm directly connecting with is someone who I've already assumed is an excellent hypnotist, yet they'd like to take their business to the next level. And you have a specific need, and that's who I'm talking to. It's a little bit of a learning curve to play with peripheral vision, because like this camera over here, you know, I'll have the monitor flipped out so I can also see myself to make sure I'm in frame. So these moments where I move around, I know I'm still centered in the camera. But I'm talking directly to that lens as if it's someone that I know. That being said, if you still have a challenge with the camera, you've all seen interview shows before where they're talking to that person, you know, and when they're interviewing someone, that person they're interviewing is not looking directly into the camera, they're looking off to the side. So it's an excellent strategy just to shoot the video like that. And if you want to get really sneaky about this, find a photo of someone you know, love, and trust, print it out, stick it on the wall. There actually was a video that I shot here a while ago, different from this project, where I had the video set very low. And I wanted to be looking around the room a little bit better. So a quick trip to the dollar store, and I had some helium balloons that I attached to the folding chairs here in my office, and the balloons were about head height level. Otherwise, I'd be looking at the back of the chair, which is way too low. So whatever tricks you have to do, whatever self-hypnosis, whatever consulting you have to do with another hypnotism professional to overcome that, you know, I would share it's worth it to overcome that. The success that I've had is mostly in part to the way that I can interact with the camera, the way that I can interact with the viewer at home, whether it's a student, my classes sell out, whether it's a client, my schedule's full a couple of weeks in advance. This type of interaction is exactly why that happens. So if that's not the carrot hanging at the end of the stick to overcome that challenge and seek the help you may need to do so, by all means, do it. Trust me. You know, so again, it doesn't have to be looking directly into the lens. It can also just be that interview format, and that works rather well too. I would say if it's going to be interviewing someone else, I'd rather see this format. I would have to prefer, if you're talking to your potential client at home, this is so much more personal. And try to break the habit as I've done. I've gotten much better at this over the years. I used to be really bad about staring directly at the monitor, the little flip out screen over here. And a lot of my old videos, it looks like I was slightly cross-eyed and looking off to the side. I can watch that in my peripheral vision now and know exactly where I am. The final fear, why do most people not make use of video? It's the fear that it might not be perfect. On one of the teleseminars, I referenced the actor-comedian Kevin Pollak. He has a fabulous podcast, radio show that's on the internet. And I think for the first 100 episodes or so, one of the first things he'd say is, he'd introduce the show and the phrase was, "We're not ready yet." And I love that. Just the acceptance of, we're not quite there yet. The best thing that I could tell you is that it's like a website. It's never 100% done. There's always something else you can do. There's always one better strategy you can make use of. And specifically with a project that I'm launching, that theme of we're not ready yet is definitely there. But that ready that we do have is so much far and beyond so many other things out there. So something is better than nothing. It's like writing emails for an automation sequence. Are the first 10 you're going to write going to be the exact perfect ones you can do? No, of course not. And if they are, you're lucky or you're lying to yourself. I'll say it. But they're going to be better than nothing. So get something out there. I've done a lot of, in recent years, you're going to see some of the equipment that I've actually had for at least 6 years now. And to be fair, as I've upped my game in terms of video production quality, there are things that I have gone back and reshot. I paid someone on Odesk to go in and transcribe the text of what I had said in that old video. And then I printed it out in big, like 24-point font, pasted it on the tripod of my camera, and shot it again with a much better quality. So you can always go back and revisit this stuff. It's, for the people out there producing streaming content on the internet, that's a wonderful benefit that it has. It has flexibility. If you release a DVD product, once it's out there and burned and in the public, that's what it's always going to be. As opposed to something specifically that I'm playing with right now, is to have a specific member portal on a specific product where someone says, hey, could I get more information on this? And then just add it into the batch processing, shoot that specific content as a little 5-minute, even just a screencast video. And people have that information right away on demand. That's just where everything is going these days. So you can always go back and redo things. That being said, I'm going to share some best practices here to make your videos better. Specifically some things that I've discovered. But before we get into the really technical stuff, what videos can you shoot? There's a couple of different trade terms. You may notice the framing of this video is a little different than the ones that I've done so far. Mostly the videos that I've been producing are in what's typically the phrase as a talking head style video, where there I am, and let me actually duck down for this as it refocuses probably. Usually I'm about in this type of framing for my videos and talking a little bit more personal. Because I'm playing with more technical tools for this video, it's a little bit wider of a shot. The technical framing is it's a 2/3 shot. But these can be things that you actually do talking about upcoming classes, talking about specific services. I would love to say for every page on your website, you should have at least one video. And that's just, again, the best performing thing that I've found. What else can you do a video of? Even if you have a one-room suite office, a video tour of your office space. Here's the hypnosis chair where people come to quit smoking, or whatever it is for that specific page. So just to have that interaction there where they can see, oh, wait, this is actually a real place that isn't weird. Cool. Client feedback. This is one that I can very honestly say I don't do enough of. And just to plug it, at the upcoming NGH convention, they did it last year and I attended it. Actually, the feedback I gave them was that one of the pieces of advice they gave at that workshop was actually the best advice I got from the entire convention. Scott Babb and Beth Kyle do an entire 2-hour talk just on getting client feedback with video. And it's fabulous information. Attend it live. purchase the audios from the NGH, it's worth going to, and I love it. I've kept in great contact with Scott and Beth ever since then. So client feedback. So wonderful to have the written testimonial, but so much better to have that person interacting. And a lot of the advice that I've already shared about getting that interview-style video, that came from Scott and Beth. So again, it's a fabulous workshop. Definitely attend it. Live talks. This is a great one because you heard me reference this last month. Every time I go and give a live talk now, I bring my gear, even if it's just one camera and my microphone. And when I'm there and set up, I set up the camera off to the side. Maybe I'll get a little playful and bring along the remote control so I can zoom in at a specific point when I do a demonstration. But I bring the camera all the time. Stage hypnosis, I always bring a camera just in case something really amazing and wonderful happens that I want to make use of. You know, I'll get permission. Demonstrations. I've been doing a wonderful project for my students in that there's a specific area which is only available to my past certification students where they have access to the in-class demos that I've done in my class. Now that I keep private, and we'll talk about how to do that in a moment. But again, classes too, which brings about a wonderful theme of repurposing video, which I'll share some more detail on in a moment. I'd share a quick anecdote though, just in terms of outsourcing. I recently decided to redo some photos for my website. There's some projects that I'm launching just to get some better quality photos rather than the ones I had before, something that I'm doing. And there's a specific photographer that I know in this area that has an amazing resume. He's done photographs for CEOs. He's gone and done photos for sports teams. He's shot president. That doesn't sound good. He's done photos for presidents. Sorry. And when I finally called him, I'd been putting it off for so long to go in and do a studio shoot with this guy. And I was kind of shocked to hear how affordable his rates were. So just the learning lesson here to take from this story is don't put something up on a pedestal as being way too expensive until you've actually picked the phone and called. Transcription services. I'm playing with a new company right now that I'll reference on the NGH Facebook group if I find their quality is good. But rather dealing with one specific outsourcer for transcription services, it's this website that has about 5,000 different people doing transcription quality for them, and it's double reviewed. So I'm playing with that. If the resource is good, I'll share it on the page. But this stuff doesn't really have to be that expensive again. Do some research, pay them for a few hours work. So if all this video stuff seems too much, you can actually just hire somebody to come in or go somewhere with them and shoot video for like 3 hours. And my recommendation, if it's videos for your website, keep it between like 2 to 5 minutes per video, depending on what your goal is. If it's a bigger class, you know, a full day video shoot, you're going to end up paying a bit more for that. But if it's shooting a bunch of 2 to 5 minute quick hits, here's something for the smoking page, the weight loss page, the fear page, the home page, that's not going to take too much time. And the whole concept of repurposing video, let's start to combine sources here. So specifically, here is a video I recently shot all about quitting smoking with hypnosis. To which from there, excuse me, overcoming a cold, I then myself edited the video. It was a quick video shoot, like 6-minute video. And I ripped out the MP3, the audio content. I then sent the MP3 off to an outsourcer who transcribed it. So what happened? I shot one video. I got a YouTube clip, I got a digital download, and from the transcript, I have an ebook. One piece of content, 3 different formats. You can use this stuff in all different ways. Before we break out and play with some of the technical tools here, your home in terms of video as you're getting started is YouTube. YouTube has been recognized as the #2 search engine behind Google. And to be fair, YouTube is a part of Google, as you learned last month. So having your videos there and pointing to your website is fabulous for search engine optimization. You don't need to be a Gmail user to be a YouTube user. Name your business page, start uploading content. I'm not going to do a screenshot on this video of how you do that just because it's constantly changing. But you can make videos private or unlisted if you want. And there are, in the sake of completeness here, there are paid video services that if you have longer videos in terms of producing, that might be a little bit better of a content. Vimeo, you've maybe seen them before, and there's another private video hosting company that I'm currently playing with that I'm not yet ready to endorse, but if I like it, I'll share it. So let's share some technical tips, again, before we get into the actual gear. The first tip has to do with sound. And listen carefully to this statement because there's some nuances to it. People will watch a fuzzy, out of focus, poorly framed video with flawless sound before they watch a high-def, perfectly focused, expertly shot video with horrible sound. So what's the takeaway? Sound is perhaps one of the most important things to be aware of as you shoot video. Now, it doesn't have to be a high quality, I mean, the microphone I'm wearing right now is connected to the hot shoe of my camera over there. This is a $600 microphone. It doesn't have to be this. I got this specifically because I wanted the wireless range that's possible of shooting a camera in the back of the room and doing a stage hypnosis show. And there are some more entry-level wireless microphones that are actually of good quality, but that's why I'm using this one right now, just because I needed the wireless range and the quality of the sound. So be mindful of noise. Now, most cameras have onboard sound, and these days it's actually gotten much better. If you've ever watched specifically some of the launch videos all about smartphones, I think an iPhone now has 3 different microphone sources. 1, 2, I don't know where they are. 3 different microphone sources, so it's doing a bit of noise cancellation as it's recording. So the technology has gotten better. But, you know, if you're shooting a video outside, you're going to get wind noise. If you're shooting a video in a loud office, be aware of that. With the microphone that I'm using right now, the range on it, the quality is so good that the air conditioning has been turning on and off in my office, and it doesn't pick it up. It's kind of a funny experience when I'm doing a product shoot here in the room, and typically I do that on a Saturday morning, and of course that's the day the landscapers are working outside. And here's the people in the room going, oh, it's getting noisy, and this thing doesn't pick it up. So that's why I like this one. So just be mindful of that. If it's a little noisy, if there's some traffic noise, you know, it might be a reason to come in very early one morning or late one evening and do your video shoots then. A steady camera shot. A tripod is a must. You know, if it's a friend of yours shooting it and the camera is kind of doing that motion sickness, seasick thing, it's going to look really bad. And I have found that tripods can be purchased rather cheaply, but you do get what you pay for. You know, you can go to Target, Walmart, one of these places and get a tripod for like 20 bucks. It's going to be entirely made out of plastic. This tripod here is made by the company Ravelli, and it's all metal. And I mean, I can throw this thing down a flight of stairs, I can drop it out of my car, and it still is solid. And it's about 100 bucks. And I love these things now. So again, you get what you pay for. But even if you don't want to do that, prop the camera up on something steady. I'm going to show you a digital camera in a moment that actually there's a bunch of videos I shot here at one point that I just put the camera up on a bookshelf and shot it that way. Steady shot. If you're using a tablet device, you can actually just flip the thing around, which I'll show you in a moment. And then editing, chances are if you have a computer, if you have a smartphone, if you have a tablet, all of these devices, even a lot of cameras these days, can actually do editing on the device. So you actually can pull this stuff off without any software because most devices nowadays have that stuff already built in. So with that in mind, let's zoom out here and let's actually begin to play with some of the stuff that's here in my office. The camera that's in front of me, I'll do an overlay in a few moments so you can see the specific model, but it's made by Sony. It has a boom microphone mount. It has a hot shoe for the wireless microphone, which is secondary. That camera was about $1,800. The wireless mic system was $600. Again, if you watch this video and you think you have to go off and buy that, you weren't listening to me. But if you're shooting products, if you're doing a lot of in-house production, this often becomes the direction to go. As a side note, just the only thing I'll say, I think most of the camera companies out there are good. JVC, Panasonic, Sony, Canon. I've only found the trick is if you're doing a multi-camera shoot, buy the same brand. This is actually a little bit cheaper of a camera than that one because it doesn't have all the gadgets capable of it. But the nice thing about that one is it's actually the same lens as that one. So again, to get my specific models, you know what, I'm not even going to share them, just for the reason that there's constantly new stuff getting released. Which, by the way, did you hear that statement? There's constantly new equipment getting released. So what does that tell you? There's a lot of stuff out there that's old that you don't need to go buy for yourself. New. This is a Kodak PlayTouch camera. And this is a little camera. It has no internal hard drive, but there's a place where a USB input can go into. SD card can go into. So whatever size SD memory card you can purchase goes directly into here. You shoot the video and you edit it right on, and actually you can produce it from this thing. This is a 1080p camera. What's fun about this little Kodak PlayTouch camera is they don't make it anymore. And what does that mean? I own 4 of them. And I bought them all on Craigslist for about 30 bucks each. Do you remember those flip cameras that came out a couple of years ago? And it's actually the same concept of this. If I can flip this out, I think because of the tripod I might not be able to. No, okay. This also has a little USB arm that pops out. So I could actually plug this device directly into my computer and transfer the file over. This camera, if I remember right, has embedded software that you can actually plug in your YouTube or your Facebook username and password. And once it's connected, you can upload directly to YouTube without any need for software. And again, I've bought a couple of these now for 40 bucks used. Why? Because chances are someone did what I did. They went off and bought one of these gadgets, which are way too much money and which are beyond what most of us need. So the flip camera was another option too. These types of little on-demand video shooting cameras, they don't make them anymore for a pretty good reason. Because chances are if you have a smartphone, the lens in these babies now are much better. Similar to that, tablet device. These have completely replaced the need for these little handheld cameras. It's why most of us don't own a digital camera unless we've gone out and bought one of these digital SLR jobs, which I used to do videos with this as well. You know, we freaked out when we found out my wife, well, we decided to have kids, and we wanted better photos. So we went out and got this a couple of years ago before our daughter was born. And I used to shoot a lot of videos here at the office using this camera. Mounted on a tripod, there's a video setting, and actually the quality was phenomenal. Other things to share too. What do we got? Oh, laptop. Chances are, if you have a laptop or even a desktop, or even most monitors these days actually have a little webcam up at the top. And some of them are shockingly good. Now, I will share this. In terms of my approach with everything, I'm a PC user. I use Windows. For those of you that prefer Apple products, shut up, we know already. Had to. But I found everything talks to each other. I have an iPad, an iPhone, Don Martin, red. Yeah, it's not an accident. But everything communicates rather well with each other. These shoot MOV QuickTime files, which I've actually been able to edit on here. I like using a desktop for some of my product editing just because it's a little bit more robust and has more power to it. And again, I've got a powerhouse back there that you don't need. All of these things that I'm pointing at right now, I want to share this because you don't need to go out and buy a $600 microphone. You don't need to go spend $100 for a USB microphone, although you can get some fabulous headset mics that are really good. Oh, which by the way, if you really have issues talking to the camera, you can actually do talking screenshots, like a screencast type thing. Set up a slideshow like a PowerPoint, and you can actually just do a voice overlay on top of that. That'd be good too. I think I have a couple of those still up on YouTube on my channel, but specifically this talking to the viewer at home stuff, it just performs so much better. So invest in yourself. If you need to do some hypnosis sessions to overcome that fear, find somebody. This, however, I love. Oh, this thing is great. This is an Audio-Technica, I'll mention the brand, ATR 3350. Again, ATR 3350. This is a corded lavalier microphone. And look at this cable. This thing is like, I think it's like 15 to 20 foot long. And what's great, if you're going to use any of these other gadgets, the Kodak PlayTouch, I don't think the Flip had this, but on the side of the PlayTouch, there's actually, where is it? I haven't used this in a while. Yeah, there's a headphone jack that I can plug my sound directly into. And all of a sudden now I get crystal clear sound that's picking up just my voice. 40 bucks on Craigslist. This brand new is $20 on Amazon. And it comes with a little cell battery that I've never actually replaced within 4 years of owning this. It shouldn't still be working, but it does. But those batteries are at Radio Shack. Yeah, they're still around for really cheap. I love this mic. I love this mic. ATR 3350, which actually I almost shot this video using that one just to play with it. If you're using a digital camera, again, off to the side, open up a little flap, and there's a microphone input. So my best advice, if you're going to go out and buy a camera, and even if it's going to be something used on Craigslist, or if you want a little bit more of a warranty, you can buy factory reconditioned, make absolute sure that it has a microphone input, and pay the $20 on Amazon for the ATR, I should memorize it now, ATR 3350, 20 bucks. It's phenomenal. A side note too, if you're using tablet devices, if you're using a smartphone, you can't actually plug this directly into here, because think about it, if you remember the earbuds that come with most of these, it also has a little microphone. So it's headphone and microphone. So you actually have to buy a connector for the phone, which actually makes it so you can just bypass the headphone input, and it turns it just into a microphone input. For full disclosure, I have never purchased one of those, so I don't have one to recommend. However, before I shot this video, I did do a search on Amazon specifically for a microphone cable for an iPhone. I also typed in microphone cable adapter for a Galaxy Note, the Samsung smartphone, as well as some of the others, and I was finding products on Amazon that were like $10 with 5-star ratings. So again, I can't recommend one to you just because I've never bought one. But also in that search, just to play with it, yes, if you have a tablet device and you have a case for it, you can actually prop it up. And I've actually done this recently. I wanted to do a bit of a launch when I shot a video when I was at a hotel room for an event, and I set up the iPad and I just ducked down and shot the video here. There's a webcast that I did of an interview, which I did directly on this laptop, but you can also go online and you can buy a tripod mount for your smartphone. Again, full disclosure, I've never bought one before, so I'm not going to recommend one to you. But I looked for a smartphone tripod mount, those are the buzzwords that I used, on Amazon, and I found dozens of examples, all with very high ratings. And what is it? The best one I found looked like it was just a clamp that you just tighten a little clamp down and it holds the phone steady. You can then attach it to any tripod that's out there, set it up, line up your shot, and then set up your mic and begin to move in there. Let me grab my notes just because there are a few other things I wanted to reference too. So using things you already own. But again, specifically here, you've seen me just pull out a lot of stuff that chances are you already own. Remember the days of VHS camcorders? This is a better video camera than that. And actually the sound quality on this is on par with that as well. So in terms of the quality, I mean, you can pull off some phenomenal things even with a smartphone. I know people have actually released products that, just to say they could do it, shot the entire thing on a smartphone. For the Apple fanboys out there, that's the downfall of these items. If you have the Samsung devices, they have a SD card input. So you can actually pop out the card, stick it into your computer, and begin to edit right there. I've got to sync this up, and the headache here is that this only is synced up to my home computer, and this is synced up to the office computer. And if I'm on the road, and this is my stuff traveling with me, laptop, tablet, and phone, none of this stuff talks to each other. So that's why I might be moving away from some of the Apple products in the next couple of months just because better integration of stuff. And again, for the Apple people out there, yeah, we heard you already. It's better. So it's a lot of stuff to see. But again, keep in mind, there's a video that I just recently shot. There's like it's actually a little bit longer of a video, like a 10-minute commercial that I did for my certification courses. And that one I shot in all different locations of my office. And that was a video that originally was shot with this baby, 40 bucks on Craigslist. And I hate to phrase it, at that price for what it's capable of doing, tell the person you're going to buy it from to make sure it's fully charged. Turn it on, shoot something with it, check it, and then go, okay. But you can even buy cameras. I have a former student that heard me give this information in another class that went online. And I mean, at the time this Canon video camera was released, that thing was like $1,200. But because it's the model from 4 years ago that's still shooting high definition, it has the microphone input, he went out and bought this camera, this microphone. I think he bought that on Craigslist for $200. And why was it so cheap? Because the person wanted the newest gadgets. I've actually found it can sometimes bite you. It can sometimes hurt you to buy the newest stuff out there. We have a Samsung Smart TV at home. And I knew the reviews of the older model. But as I'm in the store, I'm buying into the sales pitch of the brand new model that was released last week. And if you want it today, I'll give it to you the price of the old one. And I bought that TV. Well, the problem was that it doesn't have that peer review in terms of people looking at it and sharing their experiences. So there are some known issues with that TV that I'm now having to deal with. So again, buying something that's about a year or two old, in terms of the reviews, you're going to get it cheaper, and also you're going to know the ins and outs of that product. You know, it's like here at the office. I have a Brother multi-function laser color printer, and there are some wonderful new printers on the market. But I know how to take that one apart and put it back together if something breaks. I know how to do cardstock duplex, which if you've ever tried to do that before, most printers can't handle that. It's just what I'm comfortable with. So again, this one would be very expensive. This one is kind of reasonable. Oh, lighting too. There's a challenge with lighting in videos, which specifically in this room, there is no extra lighting set up just because this room is relatively bright. But I keep my back office kind of dim, so I've got a supplement. Lighting could be very expensive, but inside of this little tripod over here are just a bunch of compact fluorescent light bulbs. And I bought 3 of those on Amazon for, I think, $110. And to be fair, once I got better about playing with the white balance on my camera, I didn't need that. So again, we could go insane with this stuff. So here are my action steps for you. Step number 1, do a bit of a survey. What are those things that you currently own? Chances are you have a smartphone. Okay, so what's the investment? That tripod clamp was like $20. Tripod itself, maybe $15, $20. Again, you'll get what you pay for. So it may be a little disposable. Those are $100. You don't need to go buy the Ravelli tripods, but oh man, they're worth it. You get that. You pay $10 for your converter cable. You pay $20 for this. You use the editing software that's on here. You can buy iMovie as an app. And actually, you can upload directly to YouTube using that. So isn't that cool? You can actually edit the video without any software on an iPhone or a smartphone device. Without even touching a computer, you've just produced your videos. For an investment of $20 for the cable, $10, $30, tripod and mount, about 50 bucks. Or you got one of these maybe, set it up on a bookcase, walk away, shoot your video. Turn on your laptop, sit in a position where it's framed up nicely, do that. Go on Craigslist. Use stuff you already have. If your takeaway from this video is you need to go out and spend a lot of money, rewind back to the beginning. So again, we've got our upcoming teleseminar to break down this information a little bit further. And I actually opened up my calendar, excuse me, to get that specific date. The upcoming teleseminar, to recap this information and answer your questions, Wednesday, June 25th, 2014, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here comes some graphics. Again, I buy these on VideoHive. Doesn't that look nice? budurl.com/hypnotismsuccess06. This is our 6th and final scheduled video of this series. I look forward to your future interaction. Find me on Facebook and interact with me there. Shoot me an email. Let me know what your takeaways have been. Let me know the action steps. Let me hear the results you've had. Participate in that teleseminar. Even if you're watching this stuff, a couple of months from now, past the point of this stuff being live, it's your interaction that keeps us going. I got some new tricks coming soon to share with you all, so stay in contact, stay in touch. But this has been a blast. Thank you again to Dr. Dwight Damon for inviting me into the principal's office for a moment and inviting me to shoot this series. Thank you to Elsom Eldridge Jr., my partner in crime in terms of those teleseminars and getting this up and running. All of the NGH staff, the Julies, Jeremy, everybody, this has been wonderful, especially all of your feedback. Again, I'm Jason Linett. I look forward to hearing of your future success very soon.